Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well. And peace and blessings to the elect, sincere brothers of Israel out there that's pushing this word in all truth and sincerity. Alright, to you, blessings and Shalom. This lesson is going to be about the glory which the elect are going to obtain in the coming days of soon. I'm going to start by reading Isaiah 64:4. For since the beginning of the world, men have not heard nor perceived by the ear, neither hath the eyes seen, O Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, besides thee, what he hath prepared for him that waiteth for him. Alright? So, no one's heard of these things. And I'm going to grab it in the New Testament too, where Paul talks about it in his letter to Corinth. And it's crazy to think about because you can go on YouTube and look at all the crazy inventions, and you can only wonder what's going to be what it's going to be like in the kingdom of heaven. All right, but this is 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9, and it reads, "But as it is written," which is, quoting Isaiah, it says, "I have not seen nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man." All right, and heart goes back to the word mind. The things which the Most High hath prepared for them that love Him. All right, so things you really can imagine it. I'm gonna get this term real quick. This is the word hypercognition, and it literally means not comparable, of or relating to the system by which individuals regulate their own cognitive activity. That's kind of an off definition. It says, in cognitive linguistics means missing and being unable to communicate cognitive and linguistic representations because there are no words for particular concepts. So basically hypercognition is when you're unable to put things into words. Alright, matter of fact, I'll get my next precept in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. I'm going to start at 3. It says, "And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell, Yahweh knoweth, how that he was caught up into paradise." Alright? It says, "And heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for a man to utter." And when he says that, he means he couldn't put it into words. He was experiencing hypocognition. Alright? He is basically like a super sense. He is experiencing things that you can't put into words. Alright? And that's why the Apostle Paul, he also wrote this to the Corinthians. This is 1 Corinthians 15. And let's see, I'll start at 50. It says, "Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High." Because that's the proof of it. When he said he was caught up into paradise, but he heard words that are unspeakable, and he saw things that is not lawful for a man to utter, meaning he can't describe what the revelations that he saw. And also he goes on in talking about in that First Corinthians, it's like in that Second Corinthians, the 12th chapter, he goes on to talking about how the Most High also, humbled him by putting affliction on him, putting that thorn in his side, reminding him that, hey, you're still a man, you still got to go through this, all right? But this is still a good topic to talk about, talking about the how that there's greater things than just these carnal things, all right? But continuing on, it says, "Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption," all right? Because these are corruptible bodies that we're living in, all right? So if we want that glorification, I'll keep reading. It says, "Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed." All right? So when he says we're going to be changed, that's us leveling up. That's the elect getting spiritual powers, getting new bodies. Because earlier in the chapter he talks about, there's different glories in a body. A beast has this body, a bird has this body, a human has this body, and he also says that there are bodies, celestial and terrestrial. All right, meaning heavenly bodies and earthly bodies. He talks about that, and what he's saying here is, we're going to be changed, and he's quoting, or he's roughly paraphrasing Jeremiah, the new covenant, all right, which is promised to us. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 31, once I get it. All right, and it reads, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break." All right, that's the corruptible. All right, saying, although I was an husband unto them, saith the Lord, but this shall be the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days. After those days, all the prophecies being fulfilled. All right, after the mark of the beast, after the elect go through the tribulation, some of them being put to death, being martyrs for the truth, and some of them getting beamed up into the ships and being changed in a twinkling of an eye. All right, it says, "After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts, and write in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people." That's the incorruptible putting on, or the corruptible, putting on the incorruptible. That's the new covenant. That's us being changed, all right? And that's us being getting that glorified body, man. All right, because this flesh cannot inherit this. All right. It says, "And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me." And that's a beautiful thing. The prophets will retire, man. All right, that's us. Cashing our spiritual check. We won't have to labor anymore. All right, we won't have to go out on the highways and byways and tell Israel to get right, and prophesy against wicked kingdoms. All right, because we're all going to be righteous, and it says, "For they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more." And that's a beautiful thing, because, hey, the prophets, there won't be need of us to prophesy or to teach Israel, the law, statutes, and commandments. It's just going to be written in us. and it's just gonna flow, man. And we'll be blessed, all right, according to Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, and it says, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Alright, so that's part of the glory that we're going to get, because it will be impossible for the Israelites to go off. So it will be impossible for us to start serving any other nation. Alright? We can't rank down. Alright, it says, then it says, and all these blessings shall come on thee, and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power. Alright? So the blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, meaning that we're basically going to be, we can't escape being blessed. You won't have free will, which we don't have free will now, but you can't, you won't have a choice but to be blessed. Alright? And it says, verse 3, blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. So wherever you go, if you want to, go camping out in the woods, you're going to be blessed. If you want to live in that city life, you're going to be blessed. Alright? It says, blessed shalt be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. So, your farm animals, they're going to be having a plethora of good stock, alright? And the fruit of your bodies, meaning you're going to be multiplying children, grandchildren, your family's just going to grow, alright? Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Alright, so your basket meaning, your resources, and your store meaning all your assets. They're just going to be popping. It's going to be like if you've ever played like one of those tycoon games where you own like a bunch of, where you own like a zoo. There's like a zoo tycoon, a roller coaster tycoon. You're going to have a bunch of those, man. And they're just going to keep being built on and on and on and prosper. Whatever your hand is going to do, you're going to prosper in it. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. So that goes to show that, hey, this is a promise only made to Israel, alright? So these other nations that are going to come up against us, or might come up against us, they'll come in one way and disperse. They're going to be shattered, alright? When the scriptures talk about ye shall dash the nations into pieces like a potter's vessel, that's what it's talking about. That's a promise made to Israel, alright? It says, the Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thine hand unto, and he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee. Alright, so whatever Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, gives you, you're going to prosper into it. If you like, if you like cooking, your restaurant business is going to be booming. If you like little hobbies, if you like, whatever, man, it hasn't entered into minds, but, what all we're going to be doing, man. But whatever it is you won't fail, alright? It says, the Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy power, and walk in his ways. Alright? And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called the name of Yahweh. Alright? So people are going to know that the Most High is dealing with us. That we are those Israelites. And there's and is irrefutable. Alright? It says, and they shall be afraid of thee. They're going to fear us, man. All these other nations are going to fear us. And the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, and the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which Yahweh Bashim Shai swear unto thy fathers to give thee, which is the whole earth. The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto thy land in its season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, thou shalt not borrow. So when it says, the Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto thy land in its season, we'll have the spiritual power to make good weather on whatever land we have. We're going to pray to Yahweh Shema Shai and ask him, please bless my land with good weather, and bam, it's going to happen, man. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy power, which I command thee this day to observe and do them. Alright, it says, and thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. Alright, so that's a beautiful thing, man. You won't be able to be tempted. Alright, that's something that's glorious, that we can't really fully fathom, man, because we're constantly battling demons. We're constantly being tempted, as it is written. If you come to serve the Lord, prepare for temptation, man. Roughly paraphrasing. But yeah, man, that's really all I had. I hope this video was edifying and uplifting. Strive for that blessing, man. The top of that blessing. Alright. So with that, shalom.